What's up, everybody? Back for another beer review, but it's not just another beer review. No, it's not just any other beer review. And that's because today is Halloween. So happy Halloween to everybody out there watching. Hopefully, if you go out trick-or-treating with your kids or family members, you do it safely and responsibly, of course. And hopefully you get bags and bags of candy and enjoy that responsibly as well. But here on the Beer Patrol, when it comes to Halloween, of course, it's usually the 10th and final day of the 10 Days of Pumpkin here on the channel. And today is even more special because this is not a solo review. This is a duo review. And I am joined for the first time ever by a very good friend of mine and a fellow BeerTuber, Orion, over at Orion's Beer Reviews. So Orion, welcome to the channel, my friend.
Hey, Joe, thanks for having me. I appreciate you inviting me on.
Never again.
Looking forward to this.
Yeah, never again. It's over. You messed it up. It's over. Yeah, get out. No, Ryan's a great dude. He just started his channel earlier this year. I think it was in June?
Actually, you said the other day it was about 4 months ago, and I took your word for it. So that sounds about right.
Don't ever do that. Highly ill-advised. I think it was like early mid-June, something like that.
Yeah, sounds about right.
So Ryan is unfortunately, I believe, a pumpkin beer enjoyer like myself, maybe even a little bit more than myself. I do the 10 Days of Pumpkin. What did you do this year, Ryan, for October?
So this year, I'm actually doing 31 days of pumpkin beer reviews, and I've actually gone above and beyond. I think I ended up doing like 34, somewhere around that line.
Yeah, I'm speechless. Here's the thing. I think I'm an idiot for the 10 Days of Pumpkin. I don't even know what to call Ryan. Ryan is insane. If everybody just clicked off this video because of what he said, I totally understand. I get it. But before you do that, at least go over there and give him a sub and check out his content. No, but Ryan's a great dude. Case in point, I've been talking to him over the past couple months about this beer right here. It is a beer that I used to be able to get in my neck of the woods in Buffalo, New York. No longer can get the beers from this brewery. They pulled distro many years ago, but I've had this beer plenty of times before, never been able to review it. So because of Ryan's generosity, he sent me this beer along with a couple others in the description box, linked to his channel. And I always want to go this way, but it's this way. But link to his channel and the beer mail unboxing video I did where he sent a couple extras locally sourced beers. I will post those into the description box. Go check it out. But this beer comes from the Heavy Seas Beer Company. However you want to look at this, right? The Heavy Seas Beer Company. And this is the Greater Pumpkin, the 2023 release. So they're calling this one a pumpkin ale brewed with pumpkin and spices aged in bourbon barrels. It comes in at 10% alcohol by volume. No IBUs listed. And at the time of review, I was telling Ryan a couple days ago, I was like, I figured it out because there's a Julian cold. This was bottled on April 7th of 2023. So it's like a lot of these pumpkin beers come out in July now. And a lot of them are like pumpkin that I just reviewed. The regular one was, I think it was bottled in like the middle of June. Early April's insane. So this is like just under 7 months old. Like it's,
or at least it's barrel aged.
Yeah. And it was brewed with the pumpkin and spices. I don't think they age it after it's barrel aged. So the spices already get knocked down anyway from the barrel aging. So I could be wrong on that, but it should be fine. But it does say vintage 2023, which means you're fine with you aging it. So yeah, I mean, this is did they change? They changed the label in recent memory. I'm pretty sure. I don't remember being like this back when I drank it.
I would tell you at least the last 2-3 years it's been this way. I don't trust my memory after that. I'll put it that way.
I'm gonna say guaranteed they changed the label. Don't know when. It could have been a couple years ago, could have been 8 years ago. I don't know. I just remember when I first had this, definitely, it was like a whiter, I think it was like a white label as opposed to a black label. So before we get into it, you have had this, full disclosure, we both had this beer before. He's had it very recently because he's going to post a review of it on the same day I am, Halloween. I have not had this beer since like 2015 or 16. So it's been a long time for me. But I remember really enjoying this one. So I'm hoping it's still delicious. So let's crack it open, get it into the glass, and see what we got going on. So Ryan, while we're cracking this open, what's been your favorite pumpkin beer to date that you reviewed on your channel?
Oh man, there's been a lot of hits and a lot of misses. I'll tell you something that really kind of stood out to me this year was Pariah. And I can't remember exactly. It was like it's Sam Ewan. I always want to say Sam Hain.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that, but it was Sam Ewan. And then there was another a word after that. So search that. But I would say that truly had a nice pumpkin flavor, gourdy flavor with subtle spices. To me, I really enjoyed that one. And you know what? As I'm saying that, it hasn't been released yet, but it will by the time this is released.
Okay, because I was going to say, I didn't see that yet. I was like, Pariah, they released. And the funny thing about them, they send a lot of beers to different beer tubers. And Kyle brought Juice Voorhees to BeerTuber Loser last year. And Jesse from Bumpy Road Brews drank it on me. So
Right.
Thank you, Jesse. Love you, Jesse. Anyway, so yeah, how's this color looking? About the same.
Yeah,
has
absolutely.
that coppery, like burnt orange, darker kind of pumpkin beer look.
Yeah,
clarity's great though.
Almost amber, I would say too.
Yeah,
like a amberish color.
Yeah, from like Jurassic Park, where the mosquitoes in the amber. Yep, definitely. A little bit of float, like very fine particulate, like super fine.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of carbonation. We both have, and here's the great thing. This is the Pumpkin from Southern Tier Glass. We both have the same glass.
Yeah.
So hashtag not proper glassware, but kind of proper glassware.
Right. Yeah.
That's a nice looking pumpkin beer, right? It's
absolutely
kind of what you expect. I mean, no head to head, but it's a barrel aged beer, so I didn't expect it to kind of hang around.
Yep.
All right.
Collects around the rim, whatever is
the there. Legs, yeah, the alcohol legs for sure. All right, let's get a nose. Yeah, it's barrel aged, of course. First thing it hits you. Oh, that's nice. That's like a real nice, cohesive, aromatic experience. It's like everything's blending together well. Like the first thing that hit me was bourbon, like straight on, like just the spirit itself, but that little bit of like oak, vanilla, and then wafts of the spices. I'm getting more like nutmeg and cinnamon.
I was just going to say nutmeg for sure. To me, kind of stands out in terms of the spices, but I'm also getting pumpkin too. Are you getting pumpkin?
A little bit of like an earthy gourd. Yeah.
Yep.
A little bit of ginger. I don't know. Do they list this?
Okay. So I was going to say as well, the last few times I've had this, definitely I get ginger on the nose for sure.
I was going to say I got some ginger. Okay. So they do say in the write-up, they don't specify, but it does say cinnamon, ginger, and clove.
Okay.
Definitely, I was going to say ginger. Ginger hit me right, like as you were talking about the gordiness, like a little bit of ginger hit me.
And it's interesting though. So they don't mention nutmeg, but I swear I get nutmeg.
I totally do. I don't get clove. I definitely get cinnamon, nutmeg, and ginger.
Yep, I agree. And I'm not going to complain about that, as we've
not at all
talked before in the past.
The only thing that worries me about ginger is the review came out. We're doing this on Saturday. You'll see this obviously on Halloween, but today I posted my review, Jack's Abbey's a pumpkin crop, and that tasted to me like a ginger beer. The ginger was so heavy-handed for me, and I love ginger beer, but just not when I'm drinking a pumpkin beer of any sort, right? So it's kind of disappointing from that aspect. It smells good though. And both of our bottles, like mine was in my beer fridge that's like 54 degrees. So this is probably closer to 60 now. So it's definitely had time to warm up to some. It's not quite room temperature, but close.
No, absolutely. I'd say mine is probably around 60, 61 degrees at this point.
Yeah. It's what I like about it. And the thing that scares me about barrel aged beers in general, but specifically pumpkin beers, is like sometimes the barrel's either not pronounced or it's too much. It doesn't have that like perfect amount of barrel, and I feel in the nose it accentuates like the base pumpkin beer, which is nice.
Yes. Yeah. No, you could have those bourbon barrel, whiskey barrel aged, beers, ales, whatever, and then it's like that's the dominating note. Mm-hmm. So this, at least on the nose, nice, cohesive, as you mentioned, cohesive. It mixes well with everything.
Yeah, the one beer that jumps to mind is the one I reviewed, the Kentucky Pumpkin Barrel Ale. That was more just barrel aged beer less of the pumpkin and the pumpkin spices. This is much better. Everything infused with one another. Like it's beautiful. The nose is beautiful. Like all right. So let's get into it then.
Okay.
Well, the thing I mentioned is there's a little bit of bready, biscuity too, like malt character.
Yeah, I could see that. Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right.
Thanks for sending this one my way, good sir, and cheers.
No problem. Cheers.
Barrels definitely provides a punch, we'll say.
Sure. It does.
A little bit of heat, a little bit of warming in the chest. This is a nice fall sipper off of that first sip.
Well, 10%. You would expect, some warming in the chest for sure.
Yeah, I would say so. I think, and this is probably an issue with pumpkin beers in general, is that are barrel aged. I think the nose brought a little bit more spices to the table than the taste, but the taste still has them. It's just not as shout out to Paul over at PaTroll, who's bombastic as it was in the nose.
Yes.
So what do you think body on this one? I think it has a nice body, a little bit thinner than but again, it's a barrel aged, so usually it thins it out a little bit.
Right. But for a barrel aged, I like the body. I like higher side of light, but lower side of medium.
I'd say more like medium, maybe a touch over medium for me. I'm trying to.
Oh, really? Okay.
So you even think it's lighter than what I thought?
Yeah. I'm, honestly, I would probably go more like lower side of medium.
Yeah, I'd say a touch over medium for me. So like right in that realm. Like it's not super thin, but again, it's a barrel aged beer. Yeah, it's 10%, but depending on how long they're barrel aging it for, and depending how thin the base beer is to begin with, but it doesn't detract from the enjoyability of it. Like it's not like I'm drinking this going, oh, it's thin and watery. No, but maybe a little bit more heft would be nice. Give me a little bit more heft. Mouthfeel, it has moderate carbonation. It's effervescent. It's smooth on the palate. It's not really soft and creamy or anything, but there's not many pumpkin beers where I'm like, oh, that's going to be soft and creamy like a New England IPA. These are old school style, and carbonations to be expected. I just hope for like a smooth kind of ride on the palate.
And I would say it's definitely smooth. I feel as if it's smooth.
Yeah, like you're not drinking it and going, ooh, that's kind of harsh going down or anything. It's like it glides down the palate real nicely.
Yeah.
The taste, though, I think the nose for me is a little bit better. Again, because I think the actual spices were more prominent. In the taste, though, right up front, bready, biscuity, and then I get a bit of that gourdy earthiness you're talking about. So like the malts mixing in with the actual pumpkin itself. And that's nice because there's so many pumpkin beers you get nowadays where either they don't brew with pumpkin, they don't brew with enough pumpkin, so you don't get. And that's another thing that I don't know how much pumpkin they're using, but pumpkin also helps the body and the mouthfeel a lot of times. Yeah. So maybe a little bit more pumpkin in here would help that body a little bit. I don't know. Sure. But I'm getting enough in the taste where I'm happy about it.
All right, so I get like a brown sugar.
Yeah, a little bit of that.
For sure. It does finish slight. I'm going to say a slight bitterness for me. Do you get that?
Mm-hmm. There's the way I would describe it for this beer specifically is a lot of times I'll get an oak tannin dryness or bitterness. Mm-hmm. I'm getting a little bit of an oak tannin bitter astringent thing, but it's not crazy. Like you said, it's like mild. It's noticeable, but not too big. Because I can taste. So after, like you said, the brown sugar, the biscuity, bready, gourdy kind of flavor, midway through the palate's where I get the spices, and it's more of that cinnamon and ginger. I'm not getting as much nutmeg in the taste. It's more cinnamon. I think ginger is kind of maybe the predominant note on the taste now that I'm thinking about. For me, it's definitely ginger. Like I'm getting that ginger beer vibe, but very slight. I get a little bit of vanilla, but then the bourbon hits, and it's like a sweeter bourbon into an oak tannin bitterness. Tannins that are dry and bitter, but again, more for me, mild to moderate, so not that much. But I do think it helps because this is 10%.
Right.
And if you didn't have that, what's stopping it from just being cloying and just too much, right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I'd actually say you hit the nail on the head there. You said that perfectly.
Never happened? Never going to happen again.
Yeah, right. I'm like, trying to think. Oh no, that nothing else I really have to say about that. Yeah, you got it.
What do you think about the ABV? Like when we first tasted it and you said, yeah, it's 10%. When I said, I don't think it's overdone or anything, but I know this is 10%. Like I can tell it is.
I can tell it's 10%, but it's not like I'm, it's burning my mouth by any means. Slight warming in the chest.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say, I'm not feeling, the esophageal, okay, I'm going to get some heartburn and, burning or anything, but a slight warming in the chest. But I would say for 10%, I'd say it hides it fairly well.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough when you try to explain to people in a review, like, could you tell it's 10%? It's like from one aspect I could, and from other aspects I couldn't. Is the booze so, like, for lack of a better word, boozy on the palate that like I could tell it's 10? No, but everything around it makes me feel like the intensity of the flavors, the warming into the chest, all that indicates this is at least 9%. And if I was drinking something like this, I'd probably guess like 10 and a half, just because of that.
And the bourbon flavor itself,
Yeah, and it's not astringent either. Like it's that a lot of times the booze can be super astringent. Like, you get that ethanol kind of feeling on like on your palate. Like none of that's happening. It's just you can tell it's a bigger beer in general. But yeah, you're right. That the bourbon character, I will say, the bourbon character is extremely well done. In general, the barrel character is well done. It's there. It blends well with the other flavors. It doesn't step in the way. It's not too big. It's not like it's lacking. I think it's a right amount of barrel character. I think the one gripe I'd have would be I'd want those awesome spices I was getting in the nose to carry over a little bit more into the taste. But I think that'd be hard to do unless you aged it on the spices after it was barreled. If they do that, then they need to do that. If they do that, then they need to maybe do more. But if they brew it with it beforehand and then put it in the barrel, that's the reason why we lost it. Plus, keep in mind, this is 7 months old now, or just under 7 months old.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of our fault, but not really. If they're bottling this in early April, it's like, I'm not drinking this until September at the very least.
Right.
So, that's crazy that I'd have to drink this in like May or June for it to be quite fresh.
Now, I got to tell you, before we did this review, I kind of went back on some of my notes that I had made on Untapped of, because I did have this back in September and looked at the notes, and based on the notes, I will say, I'm thinking that some of the spices have died off actually a little bit, at least a little bit. Also, it sounds like I was getting more vanilla and more of kind of like a whipped cream topping, to it.
Yeah.
At this point, it reminds me more of the pumpkin puree with a shot of ginger or a shot of bourbon and slight spice notes.
Yeah. And what you're saying makes complete sense, because I know you like pumpkin from Southern Tier like I do, and I feel fresh pumpkin is kind of like a pumpkin pie with whipped cream. You get all those vibrant spice notes, the graham cracker crust, all that, or the pastry crust. And then I feel 4 or 5 months into that beer, it turns into like a pumpkin cookie. So it loses a lot of the spices. It becomes more of like a frosting, like a sweet vanilla, and it gets sweet as a whole because there's not enough of the spices still there to kind of like temper it down. And I just think that's the aging thing, where like the spices start to age out after X amount of months.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of probably what happened here based on what you're saying. It makes complete sense to me.
For sure. I don't know if you saw it. I think it was released. I have to go back and check, but I did a comparison video review of last year's Pumpkin to this year's Pumpkin, and that was the number one thing I noticed is the lack of spices.
Yeah, and that's what I've known. I mean, I've been drinking Pumpkin for about 10 years now, and I used to get a bottle when it would come out fresh, because I knew that if I waited to September and October when it's 3-4 months old, that I would get that more. I like the pumpkin cookie thing, but it's like two completely different beers.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I like this. It's just as good as I remember it. Now, I didn't used to go crazy about scream from the rooftops from this beer. Like, it was one of the few barrel aged beers that I was drinking in 2013. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't really exist. I used to give this around a 4 out of 5. I'm probably going to stick in that realm, and I think I'm going to go like a 4.1 out of 5. I think this is very well done. I think if the spices from the aroma carried over, the nose carried over to the taste spice-wise, this would be into like the 4.25 range for me, because I think the nose was really good. But I got to knock it a little bit. And again, it's a little bit of age, a little bit of my fault, a little bit of I don't want to say the brewery's fault. I don't want to blame anybody. It is what it is. If you're going to bottle the beer in the early April and I'm going to drink it 5-6 months old, something's going to be, slightly aged out. And in this case, it's the spices. So, maybe I should be drinking these in the middle of April when it's, fucking 20 degrees outside in Buffalo. No big deal. So, yeah. So for the Greater Pumpkin, right? This beer right here, 4.1 out of 5. That's where I'm going. Let me blow this up so I can get the thumbnail. You know what I mean? Just for say, oh my God, it's the Greater Pumpkin. Oh my God, it's like the food reviewers. I gotta get the selfie, the thumbnail. Okay, without it, it's like okay, no, I don't really give a shit. That's more for just being stupid. But 4.1 out of 5. What are you leaning at? I mean, do you remember what you rated it in your own review that's coming out today?
No. To be honest, no. But again, when I was looking at what I rated it on Untappd in the past, I've also noticed a decline in my ratings. And so when I first had this, I really enjoyed it. I gave it like a 4.75, something crazy like that. I would not come anywhere close to that at this point now. I still think it's a solid beer. I really enjoy it. I just wish it would, again, like you said, they could probably release it later and bottle it later. Right now, where I stand, I would probably give this a 4.2, 4.25, probably.
Okay. Here's the thing. Do you remember what you paid for? Did you get these come in 6-packs?
Unfortunately, I don't remember what I paid for it. Yes, it does come in 6-packs.
But it's probably like $15 to $18 a 6-pack. Something like not ridiculous, right? Yeah.
No, nothing crazy. Nothing crazy.
And that's the thing. Like I just gave this 4.1. You gave 4.25. It's 10%. A 6-pack being like less than $3 a bottle, like all fucking day, every day. Like that's a great value, especially nowadays. How crazy everything is price-wise in this world, let alone beer, which is just insane. So price and availability, the price point I think is pretty good. And yeah, people will say Heavy Seas is a shelfie beer, and they are. I mean, they've been for a while, but this is a quality pumpkin beer, especially if you want something barrel aged. And availability, fuck if I know. I know probably Mid-Atlantic for the most part, a little bit to the south, maybe a little bit to the west. It's
kind of hard to say, because I also think back when I lived in Pennsylvania. I don't ever remember seeing Heavy Seas in Pennsylvania 20 years ago.
We used to get all kinds of crazy shit up here in Buffalo. We got this, we got the regular one. We'd get special beer. I remember when that Blackbeard's breakfast first came out, we got that. We got a lot of stuff from them. And then just one day they're just like, not here anymore. I'm like, huh? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
One of the 7 billion other breweries, I guess. I don't know.
Well, there is that. Yes.
So yeah, again, huge thanks to Ryan for getting this one my way. It's been one I've been wanting to review for the last couple of years, and I was hoping that I would find it somewhere, either here. I went to Erie, PA this year to see what they had, and they had a couple different things, but no Heavy Seas, and he was nice enough to send it to me. So cool to be able to not only revisit this one, but officially review it on the channel. And I'm happy that at least my memory of it, it's very similar in terms of what I think about it as a whole. I think it's a well-made, good barrel-aged pumpkin beer. Is it going to blow your socks off? Probably not at this point, in your beer drinking world with all the crazy beers out there. But again, value goes a long way for something like this. And if you just want to feel good and drink a couple pumpkin beers in a night, you drink 2 or 3 of these, you'll be feeling real good, and you won't be breaking you'd be less than $10. You'd be feeling great. So it's really good. Now, I will say, go check out Ryan's review of this, which he said he is posting today on Halloween, along with 7,000 other, I think he said, pumpkin beer reviews today, something like that. I don't know. But no, go check out his channel. If you like pumpkin beers right now, he's got a whole month full of archives for you to binge watch. But I'm always happy when people jump in the beer tubing fray that have either watched a lot of different beer tubers or just beer tubing channels in general, not even just reviewers. I know you said you like the craft beer channel and a couple others that aren't just strictly beer review channels. It's always cool when someone's like, hey man, I'd like to do that, and then jump into the fray, because it's easy to have a camera and turn it on, but it's not easy to be willing to like put into any effort to try to be consistent, or try to keep it going, and like make something out of it that you enjoy. At the end of the day, it's just a hobby that we have fun with, but it's always fun when somebody new comes to the table. So really cool to see. And I mean, him and I'm going to plug this now for no reason other than he told me before we went on here he's going to record it instead of us going live. So him and I don't know when he's going to post it, but him and I were going to do a dual review on his channel of a beer from Elder Pine. Do you remember the name of it? I know what the style is, but it's
it's quite a weird name. I can't remember off
Imperator the top. Or something like that.
Yeah. See, you got it. You probably remember more of it than I do.
I can't even remember what's going on most of the time, so I'm lucky. But that I just guessed that. Now I remember because I struggled with the name in the unboxing. I was like, "Come on, Joe, English." Somebody actually mentioned that, and I thought it was hilarious. But it's a rye whiskey barrel aged Imperial German Rauchbier, a smoke beer. It's 11%. We're doing it right after this. We're going to be feeling great, but also I'm kind of nervous about that beer because it could be delicious. It could be shit. Who knows? We're going to try it out. So be on the lookout for that review whenever Ryan posts it. We're going to record it here momentarily. And anything you want to plug or say here at the end, Ryan, feel free.
I mean, I'm planning on putting out at least a video every day come November. At least that's my goal. I used to do videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but now I'm thinking I might try to go to one literally every day. And I'm also playing around with the idea, because I have so many stouts and Belgium quads in my fridge that I need to get through. I'm playing around with the idea and possibility of potentially for December it being a month of stouts and quads, because it just seems like, it's cold. It's the cold time of the year. I have West Fullerton 12 that I've been sitting on for a while. I might do that for Christmas. So be on the watch out for that, but I'll definitely put a video out, kind of giving a channel update for sure.
Cool. I mean, an entire month of stouts and quads sounds delightful like that, especially like you said in the colder winter months. Like that's what I'm drinking. The bigger 8, 9, 10, 12% beers for sure. So check that out if he ends up doing that, but definitely go over there, check out his channel, see what you think, give him a sub if you like what you see. Like I said, he's a good dude. Nice to have a new BeerTuber. And he's a very generous individual. And he sent me a couple Idiom beers, his local brewery, that I will be reviewing those beers in the next couple of weeks to, 2-3 weeks. I got, some beer to get through, but I'll get to those in due time. And one is a pumpkin beer that I think is going to be the only other pumpkin beer I review this year, not during the 10 days of pumpkin. And then he sent me a crunch berry, heavily fruited sour that as a fat kid, I love crunch berries. And I haven't had crunch berries in a long ass time. Great cereal. So if it reminds me of crunch berries in any way, I'm here for it.
I hope you like it, Joe. I mean,
I saw the review you did, so like I'm pretty sure.
I'm gonna say it real quick. It was kind of like picture the crunch berries, but the berries were real fruit flavors. And also just to chime in, wanted to say thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. Again, been watching your channel for a couple of years now, so it truly is an honor to be able to hop on.
I'm glad you decided to join me. I thought you'd be like, nah, I don't want to hang out. I just posting comments. Like, what are we doing? So this is almost 30 minutes long. By the time I cut it down, might be a little. This is probably one of the longer duo reviews, but whatever. I'm going to talk about other stuff, not just the beer. Plus, it's Halloween. It's the last one. So thanks to everybody stopping by for the 6th annual 10 Days of Pumpkin has officially come to a close. I will be doing this again next year because I do it every year. Like I've mentioned in the vlog this year, it's getting harder and harder to procure pumpkin beers every year. I'm over 70 pumpkin beers reviewed on my channel. It's a lot of pumpkin beers. So we'll see what we can get locally and then maybe trade for some, maybe get a couple off the bucket list. Like I know you talked about, you had Yeti pumpkin spice. Maybe I'll have to have you send me a bottle of that next year. I want to get St. Arnold's Pumpkinator if somebody out there is able to grab it, because that's yeah, just send me a case of it. No big deal. We'll figure something out. I got a couple untapped friends in Texas that I think I can get their hands on it. So yeah, it's been another great 10 days of pumpkin. We ended it with not a bang, but like a little bit of a firework display, just like a mediocre one. But it's a good beer, and highly recommend it. So huge thanks to Ryan for stopping by. Thanks to everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. Tomorrow's November 1st. We're back to regular beers, and hooray, because I'm pumpkined out. Done. One more left though. So the DM1, that's it. After that, we're done. Yeah, Ryan, you're an animal. I don't know. You don't count. Anyway, I drank 35 pumpkin beers this month. Settle down.
I was gonna say, what do you think you?
Yeah, settle down. I mean, I did that once back like 10 years ago, and I never did it again. You know why? Because it's not a good time. Anyway, till the next one, everybody. Cheers.